What's going on, everybody? My name is Jake. Welcome to The Haunted Beard. Thank you for joining me. So Shudder just dropped a brand new original film last week titled Get Away. And this is a dark comedy horror film starring and written by Nick Frost. And this one tells the story of this family who travel to this remote island in Sweden for a vacation getaway. And things take a turn for the worse, however, when they discover that the island is inhabited by a serial killer. And the events of the film take place during something called the Karantan Festival, which is a festival that happens on this island every year as they celebrate an event from 200 years prior. And that's how the film opens. We get a quick little glimpse of something that happened on this island 200 years ago. There was a sickness that broke out on the island, and the mayor issued a quarantine.
The whole island quarantined itself until most people had either died or had turned to cannibalism.
And now, 200 years later, the island's still there. It has a small community of people, and they throw this quarantine or Karantan festival. Then we're introduced to our main family, and once they get to the island, they are met by the locals there, and they are met with quite a bit of hostility as nobody wants them to be there since they are foreigners and they don't belong. And so they obviously feel very unwelcomed. They meet a character by the name of Mats, who is their Airbnb host, and he takes them and shows them to their home. And from that point on, the film kind of slowly grows a little more and more sinister as we're curious about what exactly is going to happen with the townsfolk and how are they going to kind of factor into the story. And then we get some really creepy vibes from the character of Mats, and we're thinking that he is maybe spying on them and invading their privacy while they're staying at this home. And then in addition to that, we find out that there appears to be some sort of serial killer on the island as well. And so we're kind of just left wondering, how is this all going to sort of come together and what exactly is going to happen? And so the film has an intriguing kind of setup. The first kind of 2/3 of the film play out a little bit slower. And like I said, it is a dark comedy. And so it overall kind of has a little bit more of a lighthearted tone to it. But there still is kind of that underlying sort of sinister vibe to it all. And if I could make a comparison to a couple movies, this film is mixing a little bit of Midsommar with a little bit of The Rental. You've got some Midsommar here where you've got this family or this group of people who travel to this extremely remote sort of foreign location in this isolated little community, and just everyone within the community is giving you some off-putting vibes. And, you know, we get a scene here in this film where the very first night, all of the locals show up at the front door to their Airbnb, and they're all dressed in this, like, you know, traditional ritualistic garb, and they're wearing creepy masks and banging drums, and they've brought a dead animal and stuff that they leave on the porch. And so you get a little bit of Midsommar vibes, and then also, like I said, a little bit of The Rental vibes, which is a little bit of like this Airbnb type horror where these people are getting spied on by somebody in their Airbnb, and you're just wondering, what exactly is going on? What is this person up to? And so it's a little bit of a mixture of those two movies put together. And so I was intrigued enough by the setup here. I was interested to see how all these kind of different elements were going to fit together. Overall, as far as the tone goes with the dark comedy, if you don't know, I'm someone who is kind of hit or miss when it comes to horror comedy. Not all of the humor here lands, but I thought the overall tone, it works fairly well. It works well enough in the opening 2/3. And the reason why I keep mentioning the opening 2/3 is because really this is all about a setup and a reveal that occurs in the last kind of 25, 30 minutes of the film. And really, if this movie's going to work for you or not, it really kind of all hinges on that. And for me, I quite enjoyed the final direction and the final kind of reveal that this film took. There's a sequence in this film that is set to Iron Maiden's Run to the Hills, and I just had a really fun time with it. I had a big old smile on my face. I was laughing quite a bit. And that's kind of the point. Like, if you're having a good time, you're going to really enjoy the rest of the film. If that sequence doesn't work for you and you're like, I'm out, you might as well just turn the movie off at that point. But I had a really good time with it. And this is when the film kind of really goes into overdrive with its humor. It gets kind of cheesy and just ridiculous, but that's kind of part of its appeal. And again, I say this as somebody who's typically kind of more on the negative with horror comedies, but this one I had a pretty fun time with. I thought the payoff was well worth the buildup, and overall just had a pretty fun time with this one. So this is one that overall I would recommend. I think even if you're maybe not typically a fan of the kind of horror comedies like myself is, I think it's at least worth checking out and giving a try. But especially if you like dark comedy mixed in with your horror, if you like movies that go over the top and into kind of just ridiculous territory, I think you'll have a pretty good and fun time with this one. So yeah, I did. I enjoyed it. I'm going to give this one, I'm going to go 7 out of 10 for Getaway. This is the first film I've saw in 2025. Not too bad of a way to kick off the new year. So those are my thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. Like always, hit me up down below. If you've seen this, let me know your thoughts on this one. Would be interested in hearing your take on it. Thank you so much for watching. If you got anything out of this, go ahead and do me a favor and do not click that subscribe button unless you want to be haunted by the beard.